Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Welcome, Prasad ji. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
How is the weather in Devabhoomi? How is the weather in Devabhoomi, Prasad ji?
Gujarat weather is wonderful. Yeah. Now it is early morning. Temperature is 15 degrees.
Wow. How far are you from the Ran of Kutch, Prasad ji?
Ran of Kutch 250 kilometers.
So you may have to have about 2-3 days of bearing your guest. Somebody is going to visit you to see the Ran of Kutch.
Please, all most welcome. Sir, Professor Sahab, I met you in one of the meetings early in Delhi. One seminar.
Sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Professor Prasad K. Panikkar was formerly the Executive Director of Bharat Petroleum Kochi Refineries Limited, in charge of refineries. Single-handedly spent about 24,000 crores of rupees expanding the refinery, and got a lot of accolades for that. Now he is actually director and head of the refinery at Devabhoomi, Gujarat, Naira Energy Limited.
Naira Energy Limited.
Wadinar, yes.
Acha, Wadinar. Okay, sir. Actually, this Uttarakhand is also called Devabhoomi.
We are also Devabhoomi, sir. We are also God's own country. For your information.
This district is called Devabhoomi Dwarka. This is
Devabhoomi Dwarka, right?
Dwarka in Uttar Pradesh also there is a Dwarka.
No. That is not. This is the actual Dwarka. Actual Dwarka. Yeah. Professor, we have fairly good audience today. Our audience count has gone short beyond 220. So expectedly about 250 to 300. So we are in for a good feast from you, Professor.
Right. Let us hope so. It will be useful for everyone. Right. I have taken the PhD findings on servant leadership.
Oh, great.
That student is now assistant professor in IIT Tirupati.
Wow, great. Yes.
Who has worked on this servant leadership.
Acha. Oh, I see. Oh, that's great. So he is also IIT professor.
He is also now IIT. Earlier he was in IIM Sirmaur after completing PhD from here.
So what will happen? You will settle down in Rourkela or you will go back to your native place?
Indore. I belong to Indore. But 10 years to go.
I see. So KMA has a Indore connection. That is through All India Management Association. KMA conducted MBA from Devi Ahalya Bhai Vishwavidyalaya for 2 terms. It was a connect through IMA, and then they discontinued it because of the UGC precinct problems, and then we could not take it forward. And at that point in time in Kerala, there were only minimal MBA institutions. Hey, somebody's mother, there is some noise coming. TV news
from Austin Marquis. Yeah, Madhav.
Yeah, let's start, Madhav. Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Yep. Good evening, friends, and welcome to this edition of LeaderTalks series of Kerala Management Association. Before we start the proceedings, may I request all of you to close your eyes, sit in your own positions, and pray to Almighty for goodness to happen to all of us. 1 minute, please. Thank you. Prajit, have you muted everybody?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Once again, a very good evening to each one of you, and welcome to this edition of the LeaderTalks lecture series. Thank you so much for the wonderful support to all the programs of the year this far. With the pandemic disrupting all our conventional ways of functioning, we at KMA too have been trying to innovate and conceive programs and activities to help our members and the state of Kerala in the revival and rehabilitation of those business and professionals affected whenever that revival happens. We have planned many new activities under the new theme, spearheading responsible management, and many of our managing committee members are very busy charting out detailed plans on their respective avenues. This year's editorial committee, headed by Chairman A. Balakrishnan of Geojit Financials Limited and Editor Sujata Madhav of TCS, were entrusted with the task of revamping and presenting a new avatar of KMA News, our monthly magazine. The objective was to make it a complete management magazine by including the new news from KMA as well as some of the most relevant contents that any of the managers or management students may like to go through. I have great pleasure to inform you that the first issue of this year's new KMA News is ready for release, and the editorial team is ready with an online version for a formal launch of the same. May I request Chairman Mr. A. Balakrishnan to speak a few words about the new magazine and also launch it to this August audience. Over to Mr. A. Balakrishnan.
Thank you, President. Dear President, Honorable Secretary, distinguished guests, my editorial committee members, management committee members, KMA members, students, and friends. On behalf of editorial committee, we would like to present the first edition of this year KMA News. And in all aspects, this is redesigned and also presenting to you for a great reading experience. And this time, actually, we have one is actually our flag off event of spearheading responsible management with the president's vision and most renowned author and a motivational speaker, Shiva Khera. And we have Executive Director of Federal Bank, Mrs. Shalini Warrior, Geojit Financial Services Managing Director, Mr. CJ George. All of them actually contributed content to this edition. And we will have a series of items. For example, one particular column for startups, another one for management students, and another one for new book releases, management book releases or book reviews. Like that, next 12 edition, we are planning with a lot of content. And I am sure that all of you will have a wonderful reading experience on management and experience in the management, success and failures, stories of new normal, etc. So going forward, of course, it is a challenge to get to the content, but we are taking up the challenge. We have a great editorial committee with a lot of experience, including CEOs, executive directors of big companies, etc. So I am sure that going forward, it will give a great experience for students, managers, and CEOs. We also have a regular feature on events, management events, what is actually happening, corporate events. That is also we will be covering at least one corporate event in every edition. In this edition, we are covering Muthoot Finance, and coming editions, we will be working out with the corporates and cover at least one major corporate events. So I am really proud and happy to present a wonderful reading experience to your desktop and your desk, reading desk, the new magazine. I request our editor, Sujata Madhav, to present digitally present the magazine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairman of the Editorial Committee, and thank you, President. As you just heard, the Editorial Committee includes, you heard from Chairman, and the committee also includes past presidents of KMA, Mr. S.R. Nair, Mr. Prasad Panikar, Mr. Dinesh Thampi, along with special invitee, Ms. Shalini Warrior. On behalf of the entire committee, I have the proud privilege to share with you the first look of the electronic or the soft copy of KMA News for the year 2021. as Mr. Balakrishnan just mentioned, it is a new look, new content. KMA News, true to its name, will continue to cover news about events of KMA, but it is a pleasure to share with you the novelty that we have brought in. I am flipping through this, pausing in few of these sections that Mr. Balakrishnan spoke about. The table of content will give you a glimpse. Management mantra. This time we have renowned motivational speaker, Mr. Shiv Khera, who has written exclusive for KMA, so to speak. KMA is known for the encouragement and support it gives to entrepreneurs, and hence this column, Startup Success. We are featuring iRope Technologies. Many members would recall. They were winners of the IT Startup of the Year 2018 and have gone ahead to win many more accolades. This time's book review is done by Mr. G. Balendran. Going forward, it is also our aspiration to have authors review their original work. The inaugural event features here, along with the Management Leadership Award, which was conferred on Mr. M.R. Kumar, Chairman of LIC of India this year. There was a clear interest for sectorial articles, and this edition focuses on risk management, a concise analysis by Executive Director of Federal Bank and KMA Managing Committee member, Ms. Shalini Warrior. Each issue, as Chairman said, will focus on different sectors. Another exclusive interview. Another novelty, we have guest columnist. Lakshmi Menon has made a name for herself as a social serial entrepreneur, and here you will read about how the frugal innovations came to life. An exclusive interview done for KMA. KMA Management Leadership Awards and the IT Leadership Awards are conferred on industry captains. And this is a place where we hear about their thought leadership on various topics. This issue is where Mr. CJ George, founder and managing director of DOJ Financial Services, has written about the failure of free markets. Another first of its kind column, probably, at least in the recent editions of KMA News, by a youngster, a student currently pursuing his MBA at IIM Indore. And here he has written about his days when he was part of the IEEE Student Volunteer Committee, and they put up the KeralaRescue.in portal. Interesting to listen to the youngster talk about how volunteering is not just for the joy of volunteering. Newsmakers from KMA, many stalwarts who feature in the news, and this time we have a write-up about Muthoot Finance being added to the MSCI India Domestic Index, along with welcoming aboard the new members who have joined KMA. The panel discussion, so all the events of KMA will of course be featured in KMA
I
News.
think that's fine. That's fine. Rest of it can be glanced through when they get the hard copy. Yeah, wonderful work by, thank you so much, Editor Sujata and Chairman A. Balakrishnan for that wonderful work in such a limited time since we started our year. It definitely looks good, and I'm sure it will be a real asset for KMA and for the members, especially the management students and the young managers, to go through all the contents of the new KMA News. Thank you so much, ABK and Sujata, for that. Now, the hard copy will definitely be there. It's not just the online copy. The hard copy will be reaching all our members as well as all the corporate addresses with us in the coming days. Well, coming back to our programs now, we started off the year with two leaders addressing us, one from the government sector, the topmost executive coming to us and sharing his thoughts, the Chief Secretary of Kerala, and second one, a leader from the corporate world, the Chairman of Life Insurance Corporation of India. Management is about leading in many ways, and KMA has always tried to bring in the best of leaders to share their experiences and the pearls of wisdom with our members and invited guests. Leader Talk series itself is an attempt towards that, and we have been successful in bringing some of the best from the business world, bureaucracy, and academia to address us over these 10 months, dwelling on the nuances of management through better leadership. The first Leader Talk session of this year itself was one with a very meaningful topic, Why Leaders Fail, by Naresh Kumar Pinisetti, President of Deepak Fertilizers. This is a time when the entire world is going through a tailspin and only the right leadership and management decisions can make it or leave it to dive down on its own. Be it in the government or the business world, leadership holds the key. There are many types of leaders, as we all know, and one of the most relevant of them in these trying times is the one Robert K. Greenleaf first coined in his 1970 essay, The Servant as a Leader, or the servant leadership as it is called. However, it's an approach that people have used for centuries. Being a former governor of a renowned international service organization called Rotary, I tried to be an ardent proponent of this style of leadership by keeping the interests and needs of others first before we consider our own. It's a topic that can be deliberated at length on how to make it effective and how not to get carried away to the other more aggressive and autocratic ways of leadership base. And when we have an acclaimed professor himself present here, what more can you ask for? Friends, we have Dr. Santosh Rangnekar from IIT Roorkee with us today, who has rich and diverse experience in industry too, prior to his learnings and researches in academia. Great opportunity to all of us, especially to our student members who have assembled in such large numbers and young managers to listen to this learned scholar. Let me welcome Professor Santosh Rangnekar on behalf of the Managing Committee of KMA, all the past presidents present here, members of KMA, student members of KMA, other invited guests from LMAs, and ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome on behalf of you, Dr. Professor Santosh Rangnekar to this Leader Talk session. We also have our past president, S.R. Nair, who is also the chairman of the program committee, who has been working overtime, getting such great speakers to address us. Thank you, SR, for getting Professor here for us, and also welcome you formally to this Leader Talk session. We have many of our past presidents present here, the Senior Vice President, Vice President, Secretary, other MC members, members of KMA, other LMAs, student members, invited guests, members of the media, and everyone who's logged in here with such a record participation here as well as on YouTube and Facebook platforms. Welcome you all to a very meaningful session. Let's not waste any more time on this. And let me invite our program committee chair, past president S.R. Nair, to come forward and introduce the speaker. And thereafter, the speaker will be for us, giving us his thoughts and pearls of wisdom. Over to you, past president, program committee chair, S.R. Nair.
Thank you, Madhav. Ladies and gentlemen, it will remain only as an introduction, no more speeches. We would like to hear from the speaker about servant leadership, a subject which I keep very, very close to my heart. Professor Santosh Rangnekar is working as a professor at the Department of Management Studies, Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. He is also the visiting professor at Hanyang University, Seoul, Korea. Professor Rangnekar is having more than 30 years of experience in reputed industries and academics like Raymond Limited, Sriram Group of Industries, the Hukumchand Mills Limited, Prestige Institute of Management and Research, Indore, Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management, Gwalior, and of course, the Department of Management Studies, IIT Roorkee. Dr. Santosh Rangnekar did his studies at Indore and obtained his MBA and PhD from Devi Ahalya University, Indore. Additionally, he also did his LLB as well as PGDM in Industrial Relationship. He has published more than 150 papers in reputed international and national journals, with some of them having received commendation and prizes. He has designed and conducted a number of training programs for Bajaj Auto Aurangabad, Hindalco, Renu Sagar, Grasim at Gwalior and Nagda, Sincor Indore, and many national organizations such as Indian Society for Training and Development. He was the head of the Department of Management Studies, IIT Roorkee, from 2012 to 2016. And under his tenure, his department received Outstanding B School Award from Lokmat, which is a newspaper exactly similar to our Malala Manorama. Best B School in Leadership from Bloomberg TV. The B School Leadership Award from DNA, and this department was ranked 10th best B School in India by the portal Career 360. Under his research supervision, more than 25 candidates have received doctoral degrees so far, and he is still doing great guns, doing his research, presenting his papers, taking part in keynote addresses, as well as guiding the destiny of many, many youngsters. Professor, all yours. Please go ahead with your presentation. Prajit, please do the slide share to him, and Professor Olio. And we will do about 35 to 40 minutes of presentation. Then we'll start with the question and answers, Professor. Thank you very much. Please go ahead. Thank you. All yours.
Okay. Very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I convey my sincere thanks to Shri Madhav sir, the president, and the Shri S.R. Nair sir, and all KMA Kerala Management Association members and authorities for inviting me for this particular interaction. In fact, the motivation for this particular topic was, I was mentioning to Shri Nair sir that is, I have completed one supervision for PhD for Indian executives. It is what style of leadership they are pursuing and how it is making the more effective. So we have identified the dimensions. I am sure that is the, you will be interested, that is the how, whether and how we can use the servant leadership for the managerial effectiveness or not. And if yes, then in what way? So I will be interacting with you on these particular concepts and my research findings, basically, because you know, it is the era of the information technology. And therefore, you all are having the huge information. You will just give a search and then you will find it is on servant leadership. There are so many books and so many research papers and all are there. But the unique of this is that is this is the original research work which I will be sharing with the Indian managers and leaders in the public sector and into the private sector. So first and foremost, actually, you see, yes, the green leaf is definitely, as Madhav sir has mentioned, it is the first term coined as a servant leadership in the academia is by green leaf. But what we have done, we have talked into the context of the India. And the servant leadership, it is not the new concept as far as the Indian literature is concerned. In the Kautilya, that is the Chanakya, right? Because whenever we are talking about the leadership, we are talking about the leadership of the Chanakya, leadership of Sri Krishna, and leadership of Dronacharya. That is how they have done the leadership, and what is the USP, that why those leaders are still known. There is the leader, there is a mentor-mentee relationship, you see. That is the, there were so many followers to Sri Krishna, but we know by the Arjuna. There were so many followers with the Chanakya, but we know by the Chandragupta. There were so many followers with the Dronacharya. But here I will talk about the Eklavya, right? So what was that? That has met the unique leadership is there. Now, whenever we are talking about the managers or the executives, others, whatever the designation we are having, ultimately it is the king.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. Have you started your presentation or?
Yes. I am sharing my slide. Are you able to see?
No, your screen actually is showing a different one. It's only showing the directory. You got to go to the PowerPoint and share it. Just stop sharing, go to the PowerPoint screen and then share it.
Okay. Are you able to see now?
No, sir, you have to stop it and stop sharing. Then you change the screen and then start sharing. Yeah. Yes. Now you got it.
Okay.
You can make it full screen, sir. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you got it now.
So, is it okay now?
Yes.
Right.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Thank you. So here we are talking about the first foremost about the Kautilya, because the servant leadership and knowledge economy, they are very much correlated. And this economy time we are talking about the knowledge economy, and how it is happening is what Kautilya, the Chanakya, has told, that is, I was talking to you, that is, as a king, as a CEO, or as a manager, or as an executive, right? What we do, we have to serve to the nation. And when we are talking about the king as a dharma, then it is talking about how we are able to serve our employees in the context of the industries. So leadership models, all leadership models given by the different foreign universities, that is the different in the Indian context in the such a way. Here we believe in the service as a servant and a service. What is the exactly meaning of the servant and service, that I will speak later, but that is one example of the Chanakya. Second example, and that is of the Mahabharata. I was talking about the Sri Krishna. That is the how Sri Krishna, he has developed that spirit and communicated the message through Gita. And here, what is the most important, that is whenever we are talking about these particular aspect to then he is one who hates no creature, who is friendly and compassionate to all. Here, now I would like to mention the value system for the servant leadership, which is coming as the most important, that is a compassion, and who is free from attachment and egoism. Now you see, whenever we are talking about, as we go higher into the ladder, naturally the egoism and that particular attachment, right, to the self attachment to the self, that increases. And here is the challenge. What is the challenge? We have to balance in the pleasure and pain and the forgiving. Now here I would also like to mention that is the dimension which we have identified in servant leadership, that is the forgiveness. That is, are we ready for the forgiveness is there? Now, these are the certain examples of Indian ancient culture which are talking about the servant leadership is there. The another important aspect in the servant leadership has been mentioned by the Swami Vivekananda. And in the Swami Vivekananda has mentioned that is when the Brahmins wanted to cleanse the house of a pariah, and that he did day after day in order he might make himself to be servant of all. So therefore, the perception that is I am different, that is the it is we have to minimize. He is my hero. Who is the hero? That is the who is servicing for the last man in the society, and that hero I want to imitate. By being the servant of all, a Hindu seeks to uplift himself, and therefore in that case it is becoming, that is how you are going to the higher leaders. Now, according to Chanakya's Raj Dharma, what the king should do, whose kingdom women and Shudras do not have tears in their eyes, and rather than that is they are getting this sword by the societies. And by the founder of the Infosys, the Narayan Murthy has mentioned, that is the practicing the servant leader, he calls himself as a chief coach and also nurturing and supportive. This is very important, because as soon as we become the boss, as soon as we become the authority executives, what we try to do, we try to command. So there we are not talking about the commanding others, rather than we are talking about the working as a chief coach. He's talking about working as a chief coach. And important is nurturing and supporting the human capital of the nation or human capital of the organization, who has been practicing the servant leadership with remarkable success. So G. Narayana, it's the executive chairman, is referred to as the Narayan Guruji. Narayana forms the group of people and motivates them to produce the required results. And that is by the nurturing the talent. So what we understand by the servant here? Here we talk about a servant who does the services and not as a compulsion rather than voluntarily by the menial officer or for the other labor, right? So therefore, what is the orientation? It is not the question of ROI, return on investment. It is a question of return on investment on the emotions, which we are linking with our employees. And who is the person for the benefit of the another. So labor or the exerts are not done to become the rich. Labor or exerts are not done to make this self-satisfaction that prosperity is my objective, rather than it is for the benefit of others. Here I would like to mention the value systems. Whenever, especially the students, when they are planning to be a chief executive, so what is the vision? Why you want to be? And then in that case, it is for the benefit to the society. I want to do something like the corona is the example. And when we are talking about this creativity and innovation, right? And then the vaccine creation. So that is not for the selling the vaccine, right? It is for the serving the society, right? So of course, the ROI is the byproduct. I am not denying that. That is, we are not working for the ROI, right? But that is not the main vision statement. Main vision statement is to serve the society for the any business person in the service of others. Now, also important is that is the submission and the recognition. Please recognize the people, those who are working with you. When you recognize the people, those who are working with you, you will find that there is the expression of the acceptance. And when the people accept you, your leadership is half done. It is in the service of another, right? And it is always, we have to understand, we are working for other persons. Now, when we are talking about the service, what type of service we are doing? If we are doing the service for the self, right, then that is not the term as a service is concerned. That is, rather than achieving the benefits is there. So what servant leadership is required? Servant leadership is required with their objectives, a helpful activity. Whenever you enter into the organization, what is your purpose? Your purpose is not to make yourself different from others. Rather than your purpose is to whom I can help today. And when you start your day with these objectives, that is to helping others, that is making your day the fulfillment. Now that benefits for the another whenever we are talking about. So here, your duties and service here when we talk about, so what is the definition? Helpful or useful to others. May I helpful to you? May I useful to you? Right? So the power which I am having, it is for to service for the others is there. Now here I would like to share the research program, that is the PhD which I have supervised, that is the in Indian context. This is the research findings about the servant leadership is there. That is there. So what we have done, we have taken the study that is the consist of the managerial employees working. Total of 650 employees working in Indian public and private sector organizations. They have been done the survey. The organizations were chosen from this study were from this Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, Noida, and Siddhpur, Uttarakhand. There is in Siddhpur is the in Uttarakhand industrial region is there. And research selected organization with the annual turnover over the Indian rupees 100 crore and at least the 1,000 employees are there. Those organizations executives, they were selected and they were belonging to the power sector, IT sector, banking, insurance and automobile sectors there. So what we have tried to do to cover the public and private both, and also the service and manufacturing industries both. Whether we are having that particular difference in the servant leadership or not. Out of 650 questionnaires administered, for about 500 respondents, they have written fulfilled the questionnaires. So our sample size becoming the 520. Now, this is the information from this particular research is that is the what are the dimensions which the executives are using for their effective servant leadership. First and foremost, that is the empowerment. Whenever we are talking about the servant leadership, please empower others. It should not be the possessiveness. Ownership is there. Because whenever we are talking organizational citizenship behavior, OCB. So what is that OCB? OCB is conducting the rights and duties. And in my duty, there as a servant leader is to empower others. When I am able to empower others, then definitely I am doing for the benefit of the others is there. The second dimension, that is the servant leaders, they are always standing back to their subordinates. It is not that FFO, fault finding officers, rather than they are always there to support, encourage, and motivate to their subordinates. So what happens whenever we want to create the creativity and innovation culture in the organization? Whenever we want to do something new, there will be the errors. Our executives, those who are trying first time, they require the support. Otherwise, there will be no culture of innovation. If the employee is scared that if I will make certain investments and I am not able to get the return, and then my management will say, that is, you made me loss to me, then definitely nobody will try the new things. What is important is this, that please, the very interesting finding of my research is people do not leave the organization, they leave the bosses. So therefore, that particular dissatisfaction comes if the boss is not the standing back to the subordinate. And if you really want to be the effective leader through servant leadership, please always protect your subordinates whenever and wherever it is required. In the very good concept has emerged that whenever we are talking about the accountability, so here, are you empowering the psychological power? I am from this organization. I am accountable. I am responsible for this organization. And therefore, even if in this tough time, you are not working physically into the organization, but psychologically, you are with the organization. You are concerned with the organization, the problems of the organization, and therefore that particular accountability, this type of the leaders, they always carry. I would also like to mention the example of Dr. Kalam. And whenever we are talking about Dr. Kalam's leadership style, that is an example of the servant leadership style is there. How much you are concerned about your subordinates. So Dr. Kalam is a missile man. He has done a wonderful role modeling for all of us. That is even if there is a lot of investment and if the success is not there, but he is standing back and taking the accountability for this self. He always given the credits of the success to others, and then having all these failures to his own leadership. And that is the way the servant leader works. Now, authenticity, yes, decision is taken. Yes, I have taken the decision. There is no escapism. There is nothing the blaming the others. There is nothing like this. That is the putting the on the other blame to the other's shoulder. No. I am the authenticity. Yes, this decision was mine. This proposal was mine. I tried, but I failed. And that's why that courage to say, I am failure, like the Shri S.R. Nair sir has mentioned about these things. That is whenever we are talking about the leadership, are you ready to take the blames? Are you ready to take the failures? That is, yes, It was because of me. And that courage is required. Courage is not only for issuing the charge sheet to somebody, to issuing the show cause notice to somebody, showing down to the somebody, that is the, yes, I can show down this person also. That is not the courage. Courage is required, right? For what? For the benefit. And therefore, for your all the team members, when you are having that particular courage to, another important point in the courage is, that is the courage to forgiveness. Like you see, if these dimensions, please also correlate these dimensions. So this particular courage, which you want to share with your organization, for what? For the growth, for the benefit, for the creativity of the organization, the society, for the nation. And therefore, in that case, the servant leaders, they will be always showing the courage to give the empowerment, the courage to standing back, courage to take accountability, courage for the authenticity, courage to forgiveness, right? Because the humility and stewardship, I will talk later, it is already, the positive dimensions are there. But when we talk about this courage with these other dimensions, the correlations with all these dimensions, because the complete servant leadership, whenever we are talking with these 8 dimensions, the servant leader should be practicing all these, all correlated dimensions in a one variable, that is a servant leadership. Another important dimension, which is the humility, is there. And in humility, you will find that is the true for getting the respect from the followers. And when you are not in position, like here, I appreciate the KMA, that is when the past presidents, they are having that ownership and affection with the association, that is an example of servant leadership. No, they are servicing. It is not because of their position, but it is of their affection. It is because of their love. It is because of their commitment. Now that is organization. So servant leadership, it is not that is when you are in the position, then you are doing the service. Now you see, that is a duty. So we have to understand, doing the duty and doing this service, it is the benefit of others. So therefore, when you are supporting others, that is a humility, which shows that is, I am with you, right? So it is not the question of the position, it is a question of the values. Another, this very good dimension has emerged, that is the forgiveness. You are that courageous to forgive others when you know this will be challenging for your job, your position, your responsibility, right? And in that case also, you say to your subordinates, don't worry, I will take the responsibility. And therefore, and for whatever the blunder is done, there was no intention. No, you see, many times we understand the terminology in the extreme way. No, forgiveness means here, it does not mean that somebody has done a major misconduct and then we are doing the forgiving. No. Forgiving that is, he has, and without any intention. We have to also understand that is whenever we are talking about the murder, or when we are talking about the culpicide, there is a difference. The difference is of the intention. And if there is no intention and then something is done by your subordinate, something wrong, and you understand there was no intention other than it was the initiation to do something new. And that time, do you courage that? And therefore, that sort of our value system of the forgiveness, that will be important. Yes, somebody has raised the hand. Anything? You can put your questions or this thing on the chat box. And there is one command for the admit. Should I admit?
No, sir, you just go ahead with your presentation, so don't worry about all that.
Okay, fine. So therefore, in that case, that is the forgiveness is there. Another important the dimension which has come from for the stewardship. And in the stewardship, like we do the service. In the any hotel or industry, you go hotel industry or service industry, and then you talk about this is the stewardship is required. So who is the most important person? The person who serves you, and that is the stewardship is there. So who is the steward? The steward is the leader. Leader is the steward. And therefore, the culture flows from top to bottom, and that is the stewardship you will find. Now, these were the dimensions which we have studied, and then what are our findings are there that I will share with you. Right now, it has been seen that is as far as the forgiveness is concerned, right? It is varying. It was not that common in Indian managers. Indian managers are not that much used to for the forgiveness, right? And they have between the neutral to agree score on the employees' perception of their supervisors. What we have done, we have taken the opinion of the leaders and also of their followers. So leader is saying, yes, I am forgiving. But the question arises, does your follower also says you are forgiving or not? So therefore, and here we find that is the leader is saying, I am a forgiving in nature, but the follower is saying, my boss is not forgiving in nature. This is our the research finding is there, right? And why? That is the employees are of the opinion that it is not easy for their supervisors to forget things that went wrong in the past. भूलते नहीं है हमारे बॉस जो हैं हमने यदि कोई गलती करी है तो वो भूलते नहीं है वो जब तक हम उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में रहते हैं तब तक याद दिलाते रहते हैं कि 5 साल पहले तुमने वो काम किया था ना right and therefore that is they do not forget Indian managers do not forget and do not possess soft attitude towards their employees and dear friends that's why we are discussing this particular topic that is the when we are nowadays we are talking about the talent management, right? We have to identify the CEOs from the trainees. We have to identify the best student from the class. Then how we will identify? If somebody has done wrong and it is a talent, then how we will be practicing the talent management, right? For example, there is a horse. So horse is having the high potential, high power, right? But its retina is rotating. So if you want to make the use of the power and potential of the horse, what you have to do? You have to put the flip before the eyes, right? And therefore, then you can use the horse. So, but if you say, no, it does not go straight. Yeah, I know it does not go straight, but you please make it go to straight so you can use into the horse cart. So for this purpose, that whatever things are going wrong, you have to understand the personality and take the right action to benefit and serve. But Indian managers is there here, they are not forgetting the things. For Indian managers, forgiving as a leadership attribute may not be highly practiced because of the high power distance between the superior and subordinates. And therefore that hierarchy, and because as the Professor Madhav has mentioned, that is there are the number of students also from this audience. Please learn. Days have gone, dear friends, to use that power distance. Now, it is not the vertical structure. It is the horizontal structure. All are equal, right? And please adopt this practice. Not because of that is the you want to be the spiritual leader. Dear friends, that is a need for your ROI also. You will not get the ROI if you are giving the power distance. Avoid that power distance. All are equal. Somebody is good in one strength, somebody is good into the another strength. Now I have given the example of the horse. Now I would like to give the example of the dog. What is the strength of the dog? The loyalty. Every one of us knows the loyalty. But what is the weakness? That loyalty is subject to incentives. If the owner does not give the food for the 3 days, the 4th day dog will bite to the owner itself. Now here please understand the relationship between it should not be that is a one-sided, right? Where it is always to be two-sided. And subordinates rely on superiors. Now here actually understand that is the here that mentoring process, that is very, very important for the servant leadership. And where the subordinates rely on the superiors. You see, the trainee joins. Now there is a fashion in some of these organizations. I am the HR council advisor, and these, especially in the PSUs. And who is the mentor? Mentor is the unit head, is the mentor. Unit head does not have time for this batch, but that batch, yeah, these are the mentee, and these are directly connected with the unit head. Unit head is not having that time. He is giving that time once in 3 months and 4 months. Who should be the mentor? Mentor, from whom they are looking for the advice and directions. They are looking for the advice and directions from the immediate supervisor. Make competent the immediate supervisor, and then those supervisors, they should not be the highly authoritative, which have been observed in the research. This is the very sad part of our the sample, the whatever sample we are having. It is a sad part of that respondents. That is they are very, very highly authoritative is there. Now here, further forgiving dimensions of a servant leadership was found to be the dimension that influence employee satisfaction with retention practices. Now you see, actually what we want to do, we want to retain the talent. And dear friends, the employees turnover is so high that is they are not satisfied. And one of the reasons is missing of the forgiveness. And our study, right, that has been also been supported by the other study, that is the forgiveness is the climate in the organization. How the people perceive. Now you see, one is the culture, other is the climate. Climate is the perception, culture is the practices. So whether that यहाँ पे कैसे चल रहा है, अरे तुमने कुछ गलती किया, तुम फिनिश, अब तुम चले जाओगे, बस अभी तो बस आने दो तुम्हारे बॉस को, पता चलने दो, you are gone. No, that is not the climate. Rather than, okay, you have done this thing wrong, don't worry, the organization will take care. That family culture, that cohesiveness, that in organization, that will be making the relational commitment and interpersonal citizenship. Dear friends, my submission is this: develop the citizenship of any organization or institute. So whenever we are talking about the KMA, we are talking about any public sector, we are talking about the private sector, there will be a citizenship charter. The people will see and say, अच्छा आप KMA के member हो क्या? अब वहाँ पे ना वो सर्विस कर रहे थे, हमने देखा, हम लुलु मॉल गए थे और लुलु मॉल में हमने देखा कि आप वहाँ पे जो है लोगों को सर्व कर रहे थे, and you were managing the traffic yourself. So are you from that organization of KMA? Because we see that is they are always involved to serve the society. And therefore, citizenship, and that citizenship that is becoming the important. Also, please understand, forgiveness hoga, employee retention jada hoga. Because to catch the talented people and retain them, it's a big challenge nowadays. So servant leadership you can also use with the tool of forgiveness to retain your talent. Further study in this work concluded that the true forgiveness supports employee retention, fosters creativity and innovation. Another benefit of the servant leadership, that why we should do, it is not a charity, dear friends. It is the creativity and innovation in your organization that is making your organization foster. I am also the president of this Glow Gift Society, right? And then we are talking about the generate the flexibility to deal with the ever-changing market conditions. Organizations are very rigid, and therefore they are having their many times their own charter, and then because of that charter, their employees, they are not open up for the research, or they are not permitted for the research, and they are not getting associated, and that is why there is a gap many times between the industry and academia. To bridge that the gap, the flexibility is required, that understanding is required, that is as soon as the market changes, the research. I invite That is, nowadays the geographical difference is not any reason. What we can do, the KMA and the Department of Management Studies IIT Roorkee, they can do jointly the research. And now everybody is working on this online. So any type of the research activity that can be jointly. I congratulate to Madam for having such a wonderful magazine. It was really highly impressive. And therefore, that was what you have mentioned about the Kera also. Mr. Kera has mentioned your 11 rules, and the flexibility is becoming a very, very important is there. Now, what are our findings for the stewardship is there? That organizations' human resource policies, they are very, very important. कि HR policies हैं क्या? And is there word of the stewardship in the policy? पूरा मैनुअल में हम सर्च मारे, सॉफ्ट कॉपी में हम सर्च मारे, क्या उसमें HR पॉलिसीज और पूरा मैनुअल में जो HR मैनुअल में स्टीवर्डशिप आ रहा है? यदि स्टीवर्डशिप आ रहा है तो आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑलरेडी जो है वो सर्वेंट लीडरशिप कर रही है. May not be in the name of servant leadership, but the stewardship is there. But if it talks about do's and do nots, because I was a head HR also in the Raymonds 30 years, no, in the 92 to 94, right? 26 years back. So then that time, it is do's and do nots. पहले दिन ही बता दो उसको कि वो क्या do's and do nots है, बाद में problem ना हो. So therefore, in that case, such a perception of that stewardship that will help in enhancing the employee's commitment. Everybody wants. अभी एक दूसरा example I would like to connect here: employee engagement and servant leadership. That is everybody is saying employees are not engaged. We do not find that commitment. So Shofali has done work. That a PhD scholar who has done work on employee engagement. Now she is assistant professor in IIT Patna. So she has worked on this employee engagement. So that is what is that particular commitment? How we can develop employee engagement through the servant leadership. And there are the three aspects: vigor, absorption, and dedication. Right? So the HR policies, they are related with the stewardship. Believe me, your employee engagement score will be high. Whenever you are comparing the organizations with the one organization to another, just ask what stewardships you are doing. Don't ask the CSR activities, that what CSR activities you are doing. Ask them what stewardships you are doing. Tell me the top 5 stewardships of your organization. And when they say, and then you really realize, oh, this organization is doing a lot. Now, an important aspect of stewardship is the social responsibility, as I mentioned, and therefore the CSR you can be as a tool or mechanism. And when you are talking about these particular aspects, with the our research finding is that servant leadership is significantly associated with employee satisfaction with retention practices, job satisfaction, employee satisfaction to working in the organization. That is becoming very, very important is this. Another important aspect in the servant leadership of our research is these 8 dimensions which I have talked earlier. Only standing back, accountability, and forgiveness and humility were significantly predicting employee satisfaction. So what we learn in the Indian culture, these are the 4 very, very important practices which are required to be done. So when your organization and that particular, all these 4 dimensions which they are strongly practicing, then definitely those organizations are the leading organization. The best employer will be the employer who is serving the employees. It is not the best employer who is having the very good cafeteria, but restriction to cafeteria. Don't go to the cafeteria. If somebody has been found after the time, then he will be punished. So therefore, in that case, it is very important. That is what aspects you are doing. And as I mentioned, to take care of employees' needs. Now, a lot of work has been done on this also, and it has been observed. We do not create the bouquet. What is a bouquet? When we are talking about the CTC, cost to company, so we say you are entitled for the A, B, C, D, E. But he says, no, I want X, Y, Z. I do not want A, B, C, D, E. No, we do not give X, Y, Z. He says, but I cannot avail A, B, C, D, E. But that is your problem. That is not our problem. That should not be the understanding. Understanding is the bouquet, whether you A to Z and whatever you want, please adopt that. And therefore that flexibility, that is, you can have the important is there. And then again, standing back dimensions, already I have mentioned. Now, it is also interestingly to find out, organizations are not adopting the best practices, but the organizational leadership provide necessary support to the employees, they will remain with the organizations. But organizations, theoretically, they are knowing all these things, but the practically that has been found, there is a gap. This also indicates that the individuals are highly identified with the person they are engaged with, not the organization itself. This is the very interesting finding. The commitment and loyalty to the person and not to the organization. And we feel pride in that. That is, who is close to that particular the authority. Those who are very close to that authority, then they were highly admired, they were well accepted. And those who are not close, then they have been isolated. Now, please understand, it is the question of organization. It is not the question of person. But again, it is the practice and the culture that is very, very important is like. So here, that is the very, very the golden statement of our research. It is because of this reason that employees do not leave their organizations, rather they leave their supervisors, their bosses, and this is to be taken care of. Now, how to be significantly predicting the employee satisfaction? In case of the Indian organizations, collaborative culture prevails where the accountability is shared between the employees is there. Now, please create a cohesiveness structure into the organizations, because if we are just making the group of the people and that particular culture is there, then definitely what will happen? Accountability will go to the others is there. Individuals in Indian organizations work in teams for the achievement of objectives, and they are collaboratively held accountable for their jobs are there. Now, I will not go much into the details, but please understand, the servant leadership should create the teams, not the groups. That synergy, the coordination is a big problem among the different departments. And when you can use the ICT, information and communication technology, please, so that you can create the teams and not the groups. The organizations which are having the strong coordination, right? And for that coordination, it is not the principles of management, right? That comes book you refer and the functions of the manager and then coordination. It is to serve the others. And then you see how people are helping each other. That is a coordination. It is an individual employees feel motivated in this type of environment when you are having this collaborative environment, learns from the colleagues, peer learning. There is no need. That is, you have to always go to the foreign universities. You can learn from all your colleagues, those who are senior. And one thing more I would like to mention. Recently, I have conducted one training program for IOCL on the reverse mentoring. So when we are talking about the reverse mentoring, so we are learning from the junior colleagues to the senior colleagues. And naturally, what is that? Experience is with the senior colleagues. But the instruments, tools and techniques, the ICT, that is with the junior colleagues. But junior colleagues does not know how to make the best use of this particular technology which he knows. So it is a person with the weapon, but how to make the best use of that weapon, he does not know. So therefore, the reverse mentoring is done. So it will be, you are using the right person with the right job. And therefore, the person will be involved and he will not be alien. In the humility findings, the findings for the humility is there, influence the employee satisfaction. And therefore, please always try to be humble in the organization. Your image in the organization is not, that is, he is very strict, he is very task oriented. No, rather than he is collaborative. I am not saying that is you become the person oriented. No. I am saying please be collaborative, task oriented and relationship oriented both, right? And that is the success is there, because unless and until you will not give the results, this will be the only philosophy to give the philosophy. But to give the results, you use the targets, achieve the targets with the help and the collaboration of the people, right? And that is employee retention is there. Now, the one trait that makes the Indian leaders stalwarts is the humility, which is considered as the important virtue of leadership is there. And this includes that is the, I also talk about that is the, when you talk about the Indian CEOs in USA, Satyam Shivam Sundaram, right? And therefore, in that case, you will find that is the, whether it is Indra Nui, Satya Nadella, Nitin Noria, Raju Suri, that is the instinct of humility behavior in their organizations are there, and wonderfully at the global level. And when you judge the industrial leaders at the global level, and you will find it is the humility is one of their the trait which is making them the more successful. It was reported that the Indian leaders' strong emphasis on family and social relationships help them to work in groups with humility is there. Now, this is our culture. Our culture is the family. What we say? This is a family. KMA is a family. The organization where all are working with the concept of brotherhood to serve each other and have the cohesiveness, collaborative culture, and in groups with the humility that is becoming very important is there. The aspect also supported by the empirical findings of the study, this study has been supported that leaders express humility is strongly associated with the employee satisfaction is there. Now coming towards the end part of this, so how to be use these 8 dimensions in the servant leadership? Please, these are the 5 dimensions you use and collaborate with you, or the 8 dimensions of servant leadership: internality, creativity, values, humility, and the networking. The first and foremost, that is the vision statement. What is your vision statement? Dear friends, the people are driven by the vision. That is a need to achieve that. And that comes through the internality and optimism is there, right? And here you will find what is required. Professional willpower is required. Nothing else than but the willpower is required. Now, second important dimension for these practicing these the servant leadership is the allow the creativity, innovation, and innovative mindsets. Don't put the barriers. Keep the monitoring, keep the mentoring. It is not like this, that is the people want to, the way they will want to do, they will not do. No, they will not do. I agree with you, but please keep the mindset is there. Another, nowadays, the issue with the organizations is the ethics research. How much they are ethically concerned with the organization and whether this value system is supporting the organizational values, instrumental values. Next is the humility. Now, already I have talked about the humility much, and then the empowering and the culture building. Now as I mentioned, the perception in the organization by the first employee to the last employee. That is, this is my organization. So you just ask, where is the department? And the person, the way he responds, I don't know. I am not from the reception. You go there, you ask from the reception. Immediately you will understand the culture, the stressful is culture. The other person says, wait, I will see somebody is there. It will take to you. To whom you want to meet. I will make a phone call. The person will come. You please sit. Please take care. You are waiting for somebody. He is in the meeting. He will come. Don't worry. So that is a cultural building to serve, to service. And the last one is that is the networking. Are you able to develop that synergy? It is not the networking of the hardware. No, you see, there is hardware networking, but there is no software networking. So therefore, the organizations, they should create. And who are the customers? Internal and external. Earlier we were talking about the stakeholders who were the external, but now we talk about those who are the internal customer is there. So finally, I will say that is, please refer this World Economic Forum, the findings in the 2022, what skills are required. because whatever I have talked about, that all these the dimensions and variables, that has been supported by the World Economic Forum also. That is you can develop if the organization with the social objectives, which are with these skills, please understand that is the leadership and social influence that is becoming a very, very important. If you are able to do that, then definitely the future of jobs, especially for the students, they can design their learning, the future learnings from this particular slide. So at the end, I will say, हम सभी को शिव की शक्ति, मीरा की भक्ति, गणेश की सिद्धि, चाणक्य की बुद्धि, शारदा का ज्ञान, कर्ण का दान, राम की मर्यादा और कुबेर की संपदा प्राप्त हो. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your wonderful rendition on the research that you have done on the servant leadership. The 8 dimensions that you have actually spoken about the servant leadership, that is empowerment, standing back, accountability, authenticity, courage, humility, forgiveness, stewardship, etc., had been very well explained by you. And the beautiful element is that you have been able to link it with the outcome. So I'm so happy that, like, say, for instance, saying that, okay, this element actually, if it is done well, this leads to this outcome: retention of the employee, talent management, or loyalty of the employee. These are all the outcome of the elements that actually, the dimensions that you've actually brought out. And then one, if there is a takeaway today from you, one line takeaway that I have from you will be that, people leave their bosses or supervisors and not the organization. And that is evident from by not practicing servant leadership. Actually, supervisors are actually going. Now, there's so many, I mean, your research was very exhaustive. So we have given you very limited time to actually to put it forward. But within the time, we have done justice by putting this forward. Thank you very much for that. Let me start with a question, and then I'll take questions from others as well as, and I will reflect on you. The first question that I have, sir, is the values that you said, Asian organization, Asian countries, etc., values are very high. At the same time, the traditionality as well as the hierarchical nature is very much there. So countries like Japan, Korea, China, etc., who are now very, very high up there on the industrial belt or the prosperity, etc., while they are not, because they are hierarchical and because they are traditional, etc., there is a rigidity. So how do you practice servant leadership in these cultures? Will you be able to throw some light on this, Professor?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Because as I mentioned, that is, I'm also teaching the Asian business in Henan University. And
yes.
Therefore, when we talk about the family-oriented business or the hierarchy level business is there, but we also take the consideration into the synergy, like the family. So when we are having the family, there are so many members are there, right? So family, eldest brother, youngest brother, middle brother, and then there are the joint families. That culture was there. So therefore, but the cohesiveness was the best. It was a power distance. That is my grandfather, my father, my elder brother, this thing. But what was the binding them in the joint family that time? And that was the value system of the brotherhood, cohesiveness, culture, concern for each other. So even if you are working with these the hierarchy system, but everybody was having the bond with the another person. With that, so that the silking thread of that cohesiveness of our culture, which was retaining that time as a joint family, that we have to understand. Our family can be the large one. Family can be the global, right? So when we are talking about the global family, then what binds us in addition to your technology, right? It is the cohesiveness. So even we find that is the child is in USA, parents are in India, but still they are connected. Thanks to the technology, they are connected. So even there is a power distance. Suppose there is a power distance. Now you see, slowly and slowly, organizations are also understanding and they are trying to change, because and they are creating from the tall structure to the flat structure. But definitely it will take time, and especially when we talk about the PSUs, because I am the HRD council member for BHEL Haridwar also. So we understand That is, it will not, the culture will not change. It will not go become the overnight from vertical structure, tall structure to the horizontal structure. But with the vertical structure, create the thread of that cohesiveness.
Okay.
If create the thread, I'm sure that is the, even we are having the hierarchy, we have that love and affection, respect and regard.
Sir, I have another question that if you really look at it, lots of management methodologies and management principles actually evolved out of war, out of military. You know, if you really look at it, most of that, even strategy as a word actually comes out of the military aspect.
Right.
And in the military, the outcome happens by sheer discipline and hierarchy. Okay.
Right.
Now, and they say that this happens, it happens. Now, you compare that military hierarchical level, which is definitely not the servant leadership, definitely not servant leadership. Whereas if you look at organizations and societies where servant leadership is practiced, so how come the military organization, which is not servant leadership and which is very strict and disciplinarian, are able to produce better as compared to this social and servant organizations?
Yes, very wonderful question, sir. But here I would like to add that is the servant leadership is well practiced in the army.
Okay.
If a soldier is now you see our prime minister is visiting to that particular such a high altitude and to that snow, right? The chief of army is going to take the care of that particular soldier who is on these LAC, LOCs are in these places, right?
Yeah.
And there, what binds them? That the person who is strict in the morning in the field. But if the person, that particular soldier is having any one problem, physically or the psychologically, the chief of army is standing back to him, which I have mentioned. They have that belief, हमें कुछ भी हो जाएगा, तो हमारा जो भी चीफ है, मे बी द ब्रिगेडियर लेवल और व्हाटएवर और दीज यू आर द यूनिट लेवल हेड, वो उसके साथ हॉस्पिटल में वो केवल खून ही नहीं देगा, वो जब तक वो ठीक नहीं होगा तब तक वहां पे कोई ना कोई रहेगा. अच्छा, वो तो एक बात हुई. दूसरा द कंसर्न फॉर द फैमिली. आप देखिए जो उनका जो वेलफेयर वो है, एक्चुअली मैनेजमेंट वहीं से तो आया है ना सर, आपने राइट कहा. सो देयरफॉर आप वेलफेयर देखिए ना. आप जब व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दीज द आर्मी पीपल, यू सी द वेलफेयर. जैसे वो LIC का आता है ना, जिंदगी के साथ भी जिंदगी के बाद भी, राइट? देयरफॉर you will find military hospitals, right? Even we have seen recently the top authorities of the nation, of the first top 10, they are getting these military hospital service from the military hospital. And the soldier, and now you say will be no difference. Whether the chief is coming or the soldier is coming, in the military hospital, the same service will be provided. So there is no difference कि क्या कॉस्ट है क्या नहीं. तो हम उसका डिसिप्लिन तो देख ही रहे हैं. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को भी डिसिप्लिन तो देखना ही है. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को भी अपने हिसाब से रन तो करना ही है. पर फैमिली, जॉइंट फैमिली का मैंने एग्जांपल दिया, फैमिली का एग्जांपल दिया, उसमें डिसिप्लिन कितना है. फादर इज अ कर्ता अंडर द हिंदू लॉ, और आप देखिए कि वो कितना कंट्रोल कर रहा है फैमिली को. उसके बावजूद जो है फादर को या सन को कुछ भी होता है, राइट, जो स्ट्रिक्ट फादर है, जिसने बचपन में, अब तो खैर पिटाई नहीं करते हैं, परंतु पिटा हुआ भी हो तो भी जो है ही इज हैविंग द सेम फीलिंग. So army is the another example of servant leadership, sir.
All right, sir. Okay, yeah, right. That is great, sir. Actually, you have been able to tilt that kind of concern by saying that actually military or army is also as practicing as much of servant leadership as in other cases. Now, right. In your understanding and in your research, this question also has come from Jill's in the chat box. It is there where it was asked by Jill's George. See, typically, what among these 8 dimensions, and what are all the things that Indian companies normally lack, sir? If these 8 dimensions are taken, which are all the things that is lacking in Indian companies?
Right. So, in my one slide, I have mentioned that is the four dimensions, right?
Yes.
So 4 dimensions which are becoming the very, very important, right? If I will just come to that slide. and the rest of the 4 dimensions which are required to be developed. So out of these, our findings, which talk about the Indian executives.
Yeah.
So I will just.
Hello. Yeah. Go ahead, sir. Please go ahead. Yes.
Yes. Yes, this sentence, sir. Are you able to see the slide?
All of us are. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. The results reveal that out of the 8 dimensions of servant leadership, only standing back, accountability, forgiveness, and humility were significantly predicting the employee satisfaction with the retention practices. However, if we go further, we find employee retention is becoming an issue. Employees turnover is high. It means that where the Indian organizations are required to work more, right? As far as our study is concerned, standing back, accountability, forgiveness, and humility, these 4 dimensions, if we work more, right, we practice more Indian organizations, I am sure that is the employee retention will be more, and that the thread of the working and cohesiveness, that will be much better.
Right, sir. So the last question of the day, which comes from Hari Kumar, who is a managing director of TCC as well as a MC member, managing council member. He had put in a statement and a question. He says, though servant leadership as a leadership style originated in the West only in the 80s, this was practiced in erstwhile state of Travancore, where the Maharaja used to address themselves as Padmanabha Dasa, that is Dasa of Padmanabha, meaning servant of the god Padmanabha, and thereby the people. Can we therefore say that this servant leadership style originated in India? Professor, your views?
Yeah. I started with the Kautilya. I started with Mahabharat, right?
Yes.
And in the same trend, sir has rightly connected. So my topic with his understanding, very rightly connected. That is, yahi hai, Jivan se mulyam, right? So therefore, everywhere it is written, that is the king has to serve. And that is the dasa. Why concept? The same concept.
That is right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. My dear participants, there is a feedback which has actually come in the chat box. Will you kindly fill it up and give it so that we will know what better way we can actually serve you, as well as to take feedback on the professor's session. That is one. Second is that we have on the 2nd of December, we have another leadership talk, which will be detailed by our president. Back to you, President. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Rangnekar, for that lucid talk. And definitely, we are so thankful that you came up with your research findings and presented it in front of our August gathering. And I'm sure all of us present here, and especially the students who have come in large numbers, must have benefited a lot from your presentation. And as the SR very rightly said, you connected the research findings and the realities together. And it was really an enlightening experience for all of us present here, all the managers present here, all the leaders present here. It was indeed a wonderful flow of your thoughts as well as your presentation. Thank you so much. We are honored and privileged to have you here, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice to meet you all. I invite all of you, please do visit to the Uttarakhand. This is also the Devbhoomi, and beautiful to make the tourism to the members, and even the students can make the IIT campus tour. Right?
That would be a wonderful idea, sir.
I have just
God's own country to Devbhoomi. We will definitely plan something like that, sir. Thank you, SR, for bringing Professor here and giving us this chance to listen to him. Thank you so much. And before I hand it over to our honorary secretary for the vote of thanks, let me just inform you we have packed sessions coming up. One more leader talk session immediately. That is on 2nd of December. This is going to be by Dr. A.V. Shivarama Prasad. He's the president of the company, the KCP Limited at Chennai, and he's going to dwell on a topic, the future of industry and people management. That's a leader talk session, which is coming up on December 2nd at 6 p.m., future of industry and people management. And then on 10th of December, we have a panel discussion coming up, the first of its kind from the KMA Women Managers Forum, which is going to be talking about a topic, glass ceiling for women leaders, myth or reality. Please watch out for more announcements on this particular discussion, which will have some of the celebrated speakers coming up from the Lady Managers Forum of KMA, the Women Managers Forum of KMA. That is on 10th of December at 5 p.m. So we are working hard to get the best of the programs, and the program committee chair, Mr. S.R. Nair, is bringing in a lot of great speakers. So please keep watching the notifications from KMA from time to time and be there like the way you were here today. What a record attendance we had at some point of time, 350 delegates on this platform itself, in addition to the YouTube and the Facebook online social media platform. Thank you so much, and let me invite our Honorary Secretary, Mr. Jomon K. George, for the formal vote of thanks. Over to Jomon.
Respected President R. Madhav Chandran, other Managing Committee members, Program Committee Chair S.R. Nair, and the very learned speaker, Professor Santosh Rangnekar. Good evening to all of you. Extremely happy to round up and propose a formal vote of thanks for this ongoing Leader Talk series organized by KMA in this new KMA year. Today we had Professor Rangnekar sharing completely a new perspective of servant leadership. Of course, the pillars of that remaining the same. I felt rather there's a logical continuation of what we had in our last session by Mr. Pinisetti on why leaders fail, where there was thrust a highlight on the behavioral skills of the leaders. I think it would take them higher and have the team going much more than the professional or the tech skills. So servant leadership is being a little submissive yet aggressive and planting dreams in other people. And I think it's also about melting a little of oneself in molding others, being empathetic and compassionate in doing that. So, and something which struck us, forgiveness essentially fosters better relations and team building. Therefore, that is a wonderful session. We have fresh insights. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time. And your presentation was based on a research which is done, which is covering, I think, the whole lot of activities across the globe, from across the globe, the findings from research and also you quoted very, very revered leaders, like APJ Abdul Kalam, a former president. So it is really nice, Professor, for being with us this evening. Thank you on behalf of all of us, on behalf of KMA and the large number of students, I'm sure, as President said, would stand benefited like every one of you. So big thank you once again from all of us.
Thank you, sir.
And today also we witnessed the release of the first ever newsletter in the new look, rich in content and stylish in design, by our Vice President Balakrishnan, A. Balakrishnan, and of course Sujata Madhav, who for everyone's information, as the First Lady or wife of our President Madhav, but she's holding a very high position in the TCS, and a wonderful job of flipping through the pages. Of course, President, she was so passionately doing it, the President said finally cut short and then move on with the presentation. But wonderful job done by ABK and Sujata. Kudos and compliments from all of us. I think we should move on, bringing in more content in there. So that was wonderful. Thanks to the Secretariat for the support given, and to every one of you for joining in large numbers for close to 350 some point of time. And the students, we would request, while you stay safe and of course not interacting and traveling across online, stay tuned to KMA's upcoming programs about which the President and the committee chair has told you. So stay safe. Thank you all once again.
Secretary sir, there was a memento.
Yeah, I'll just we'll just show it.
That is President's
Thank you, Secretary Jomon and Professor. Thank you so much once again. And we have a specially curated memento which is coming your way very soon, which shows your presence here today in our midst. This is how it looks
wonderful.
like. This is how it's going to look like. So this is something which we have specially conceived for all our celebrated guests. So this will be coming your way very soon, sir. Thank you so much once again, and a wonderful session we had, and really thankful on behalf of all of us present here. And as Secretary Reddy said, please stay safe, stay healthy, and let us all look forward to a better tomorrow when this pandemic is not going to trouble us anymore. Thank you so much, and have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.